oh, yeah, they don't do anything. But she actually made a big effort. And so in the first instance, she actually, through talking to them, kind of came to the conclusion that they were feeling anxious, that they were not comfortable speaking. And that's why they were being silent. And she said she spent a lot of time, well, I'll let her speak, I won't read it. So what she was able to do is she spent a long time working with the students. She met them all one-on-one. She would write up structures on the board, grammar structures for every single discussion. She said she shortened all the discussions back down to 1 minute to make sure the students could build confidence. And through these small actions, she said, it really helped her frustration. And the fantastic thing was, I said to her, well, are the students, do they speak more? Did it work? And she's like, no, not really. they don't speak much more than before. But she said, the fact that I feel in control, the fact that I'm making an effort to take control of it, means that I don't feel frustrated. I am doing the best I can. So I think that's a really important lesson. Silence as resistance. That was, I think, one of Jim King's terms for silence. But with the second example, the students coming in with their headphones on, this teacher said this was not the biggest issue in her life, she said, but she spoke about it 6 times in 1 hour. So I think perhaps it wasn't the biggest issue in her life, but it was probably really, really annoying for her. And in her case, definitely she, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yes, in her case, she definitely had problems with that class. It wasn't just this one thing that they were doing. Her relationship was quite rocky with the class. She hadn't found a way to develop a strong relationship. And she felt that they were just doing it because they didn't like her, basically. And again, she had had some success. I don't think she had got rid of the frustration, but what she said was, and this I think comes down to her identity again and who she was. She said, I am the adult in the room. I have to model the correct emotions, the correct way to behave. And she rationalized their behavior. She said, oh, they're 18, 19. Maybe they haven't learned this stuff yet. Now, some people might think, well, they're 18, 19, they should know to say hello when they enter a classroom. So, yes, I don't think that's wrong either. But it was really interesting to me that this teacher had actually found a different way of looking at it, and that had helped her to kind of deal with it as well. I'll talk about one more, because this one, for me, is the one that has most had an impact on perhaps on me. The frustration at offensive worldviews. So it's number 5. Yeah, I think, I guess everybody's heard a kind of offensive comment in the classroom before. Now, it doesn't have to be a worldview. It could be swear words, right? I've heard that before. Students think it's okay, or whatever they're doing. And in this case, the key thing he said was, he meant it. He said it wasn't the case that it was a linguistic issue. He wasn't just, he'd forgotten to hedge what he was saying. He said, no, he was saying these things and he really meant them. And it's something that could frustrate people, and actually I think it could even lead to anger from some teachers. I've met teachers. But fantastic response, I think. So what he decided was, and he said he caught it in the moment. He said, no, this is a good thing, and maybe what we need to do instead of getting frustrated or disappointed or even angry is I actually just need to have a calm chat. And he really thought, no, it's great. I'm so glad that he felt able to give these views, even though these views are, awful, right? At least we could deal with the issue, we could talk about it, and and make positive changes. And yeah, I think how did this teacher come to it? If we think about his life story and his context, definitely he said working in Japanese junior high school system as an ALT, which came very late in his career. He taught in another country, and then he worked in an eikaiwa, and then he did his MA, and then he worked for 2 years as an ALT. And he said, understanding, getting that empathetic understanding of what young people in Japan, what schooling is like for young people in Japan, made him understand that some issues he sees in university are not really the students' fault, but maybe they are products of a system, in his view, that has guided them to be quiet or to defer to each other for answers. Okay. I want to pick out, I think there's some important things to pick out there, and one of the things that I think is really important is the idea of control. And going back to talking about silence, the idea that even though the situation isn't getting better, just by trying something can actually help us to reduce our frustration, right? By taking back control of the situation.
Can I just add something here?
Oh, sure, please.
In this situation, I'm confused why he thinks it's okay that you can racially profile someone, and it's good that that's talked about. Because, for example, if this had been something like women are stupid, or lesbians are crazy, or if I put another group, like a race or a sexual identity or something like that, and then I put another negative word next to it, I'm never going to be happy that the student feels that they can express their opinion about that in the class, because there are other people in the class who are listening, the teacher's condoning it by not saying anything. So it would make me feel really that I had a responsibility in that situation.
So I wouldn't want to put words in their mouth. It wasn't that the teacher didn't deal with it, they did deal with it.
They did.
And they raised it. It was more about inside for him. He decided, okay, maybe I don't need to be angry and to get frustrated with this. You know, this reflects on the way that we can create an atmosphere of the fact that people can raise and feel comfortable. He felt that that was a positive thing. I certainly don't think he let it go. No, absolutely not. And you're right. I mean, absolutely. You know, these views are not kind of okay. Yeah. I wouldn't want to put words in his mouth to think about it. But his point was more about it didn't get frustrated because it was something that he could deal with and talk about in the class.
I think if the student hadn't said that, he still would have thought it.
Yeah, he would have
gone away continuing to think about it. But in this opportunity, I guess, the teacher...
But if it came up and then there's just, oh great, he talked about it, and that's the end of the story.
What he said.
Yeah, I think, so maybe I didn't make it clear, but yeah, no, I think in that situation, it wasn't that he let it go, but he just thought it was good that it had been raised.
That it was coming out in a discussion point.
Yeah, it was like, he didn't feel upset at the view, because he thought, okay, well, at least we can deal with it. But, you know, it's fantastic that he feels okay to kind of give his opinion, even though it's awful. Yeah. So I think coming back to control, something that I've been experimenting with, something I've been experimenting with recently in my own reflection, my own journaling, is kind of trying to take back some control. So something I've been doing recently is when I feel frustrated, is writing about it, but trying to write about it in a structured way. So if I'm having a problem, then I would think about, are there any situational changes I can make to fix this problem? And actually making some notes of things I could try. Yeah? If I'm having a problem with a student who's not doing their homework, okay, I could try talking to them, that could be one thing. I could check that he's understanding it. I also ask myself some kind of attention questions. If I just ignore this problem, is it going to go away, or do I actually have to deal with it in this case? An appraisal, is there another way I can think about this? Am I missing something? Is there something happening in this student's life? And response. If this happens again and I feel frustrated, what can I do? What am I going to do next time? And this is a really important one for me, because, you know, there are times when I get angry and I shout at the students, right? And instantly regret it. right, and instantly feel guilty because it's absolutely because I'm having a bad day or something like that. I think this can be quite a useful framework if you're somebody who does journal and needs to think about, you know, how can I deal with a frustrating issue, or if you're going to reflect on it, maybe these questions can help. Okay. I'll just leap to some conclusions, okay, then, if that's okay. Some general discussion. I think I've already mentioned it, but definitely control is a central thread in frustration. And yeah, Chang, it's in general education. I do think that's an interesting paper about how control relates to frustration. Overall, the teachers in my study had more success with what I would consider to be low-level frustrators, things like student apathy and success. They had more success in dealing with that frustration. But with the really large frustrators, student misbehaviour was really hard. And when we dived into that, and I asked them, okay, what training have you had for classroom misbehaviour? None. Zero. Why do we not do any training in TESOL on classroom misbehaviour? It's really important, and I think it's not done enough. A few people said they had some informal workshops, you know, here and there, but nobody had anything as part of their formal training. I think that's really resonant. And I think the fact that cognitive reappraisal, that's the big, if you only take one emotion regulation strategy away, taking the time to look at your frustration in a different way, I think that's really the one to take away with you. Is there a different way I can look at this? I've been so entertaining. Please. Yeah. Okay.
At least it's secure.
Could be worse. Could be worse. Yeah. Yeah. Some implications, but I think I've spoken about them already. I don't think there's anything new there. And I don't know if anybody is an institution. I don't think that's possible, but is in a position of power at an institution. But I think, or training, but definitely training for behavioural management is something needed. I think, even with experienced teachers. We're talking about teachers who've been teaching for 17 years. Some of them who don't know how to deal with a class, who end up shouting at them, and nothing gets resolved. So, training for emotion management as well, I think could be something beneficial. Mentorship systems, that's another one. I don't know if your university has a mentorship system, but why do we assume once a teacher has an MA and a few years experience that they don't need any help? I don't know. I haven't seen much mentorship. Maybe at your schools you have it, which is great. I think it would be really beneficial too. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll finish it.